I will speak first. I am Kenitra Yvetta. Dixon is my last name now. I was a Stevens for all of those of you who don't know. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Moved to Durham, North Carolina in 1982 with my father, William Stevens, and my mom, Skeeta Altamise. My dad is now the minister emeritus of Southside. Fortunately, he was able to retire last year. He served as the minister for 38 years. So I've been in Durham ever since we moved here in 82. I am proud to be Kente's wife, the mother to Kimberly, and I always add in Darielle, even though Darielle's not my birth child, she is our child, Kyrie and Kamani, and proud grandparent to Maxwell and Jamir. I'm an office manager for Quality Life Home Health Care, and done quite a few things over my time. I sing with ASAP, with anything Southside Choir. I work with the children's group, you know, all that kind of stuff. Singing. We have a band. I'm one of the female vocalists, hashtag Epitome Band. We do a little bit of everything. Trying to think, did I say enough about who I am? Kim, stop sending messages. I think, is that enough about me? I think my mom and dad, I mean, yeah, pretty tight family. I have a sister, an older sister, and a younger brother. So I'm the knee baby. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of who I am right now. Kente.
All right. Kente, Lamont, Dixon. My name does come from roots. My sister named me Kente. My brother named me Lamont. So she was watching roots. You was watching samples. Let's see, I am the youngest of three. My oldest is a sister, and my brother is my brother. 6 years apart from him, 9 years apart from her. I am an entrepreneur. I am also I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a certified, I'm the chief financial officer for a network of home healthcare companies right now, amongst taxes, other things. Let's see. I manage the band, as she mentioned. She's already mentioned all my children. I'm born and raised in Durham, North Carolina. Moved around a little bit, but never outside of North Carolina. So I actually live probably about 7 or 8 minutes away from where we live now. So I've always wanted to come back home. And so we are back home. I am proud to be the husband of Kenitra. And yes. And also, okay. And I am proud to be the father of all of those children that she mentioned. So I hope y'all can hear me clearly. I'm turning up the volume, but
something happened to the sound, y'all.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, but it's
But
like
it's faint.
Okay, it's back.
Okay, it's back.
It's back better.
Hold on.
It's better. Okay, he's gonna try to do something. See, I saw part of the question. Was it a particular request, Kim, or what did you say?
No, it was just who are you all, and
Okay.
then who are you together?
Okay, and I think together we are. Oh, I didn't. We've been married. This August will be 20 years. If we count like the time that we dated and got married, it would be a total of 23 years. And I guess once we make sure we get this sound thing right, we'll go into some of that. Talking about our story. I don't need that. I think you might need that. Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You go ahead and talk because they can hear me.
I think that was it. Did y'all want me to repeat anything, or were you able to at least Nope, we're good. Okay.
Y'all, I just want you to
Now
hear
you gotta unmute.
heard. He
Oh,
manages the band. The
it's not
band
gonna work.
name is
Sorry.
Epitome.
That won't work. Go ahead. We can't. I'm just gonna have to be louder. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
We didn't hear.
Uh-oh, this is sounding good, y'all. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So
Sorry, y'all.
did miss that part about they've been married for almost 20 years in August, and he manages the band that she's in. The band's name is Epitome. I'm going to ask you to drop a link, so tell us how we can get connected, because the band is, y'all, the band is hot.
Okay. Will do.
Well, absolutely.
So you all told us who you are together. So now we want to hear the story. You said it's been 23 years that you've known each other. So you dated for like 3 years. So tell us what happened. How did you date? How did you meet? How did you meet? How did you date? Talk to us about that.
Okay, so I found out recently that what I thought was our first date, I couldn't actually count that as our first date because of who I was at that time. He may have been trying to get me to come so it could just be he and I, but I was in a different space. So I didn't see it as a invitation to be just a date.
So
it was an alpha ball.
I was about to say we got to give them some context.
Oh, okay, it was an alpha ball. So I invited somebody because I didn't know what to expect at an alpha ball. And so when he gave me the invitation, I was like, okay, sure. Can I bring somebody with me? And I always said that was our first date, but I was told it's not a date. I think Kimberly just reiterated that's not our date. So I can't remember what our first date was because the way things happened, how this happened is just crazy. So I always start with we were in a decision sciences 3300 class together because I was a returning student, a non-traditional student. So I had gone back to North Carolina Central, and Kente was in that class. And at the end of the class, everybody knew the professor had a history of not passing people. You would have to take the class 2 or 3 times, that type of thing. So stop. So at the end of class, everybody was like, Brother Kente, when you gonna get this study group popping? And so I was a non-traditional student, so I wasn't staying on campus. I was at home. But I'm hearing this, and I know I was already nervous about this class, so I was just trying to wait to see what was going to happen with this study group. And so he told everybody that was hanging around, like when we were going to do the study group. And yeah, that would be the start of us.
So it's better to say it that way because a first date would seem to say that I actually asked her out, but I didn't. We went and did the study group, and we did a study group, and in the study group, we met at the study group. She was the only one that stayed. Everybody else went to some party. So she stayed, we studied, and we really did study. We got A's in the class, a class that everybody else was either dropping or getting, right? And that was just a good start for us. We actually then were in other classes together because we were both in the business school, and every class we were in, we got A's in. So that's how we started. That's right.
So just from the time that we first started in the class, and like he said, I was the one that always would come to the studies. He always gave a time, and everybody would say, okay, I'll be there. They might stay for a few minutes and then they leave. Well, again, I was very nervous as a returning student, and this was not mama or daddy's money. This was my money. And so I didn't know who Kente was on campus, okay, because I wasn't on campus. So I didn't know. All I could hear was everybody saying, Brother Kente this, Brother Kente that. I didn't really understand all of that. So the first study group session where it ended up just being he and I is the first real conversation that I had to try to get to understand or know who Kente was as a person, not as the tutor for this class. So that conversation lasted for 6 hours. We were in the library, and when they closed the library, my mom at the time, because I was staying with my mom and dad because I was a single mom. I was staying with my mom and dad still. And I said, well, we can't go, we can go to my house. My mom had, because she had a daycare. So we were in the back room where my mom's daycare was, and we were still talking, like the conversation just kind of continued. And my dad came in and he said, how y'all doing? I introduced him to dad, and I said, we studied, they closed the library, we just kept talking, we were just having conversation. He was like, good night, y'all take care, nice meeting you, that type of thing. But 3:30 is when I took you.
I want to say 4 o'clock.
It might have been 4.
Yeah, that might have been when I got back to the
right. I took him back to the dorm because, of course, I didn't want to park longer on campus. His car was already parked, so we just went in my car, to the house. So, so yeah. But that's and that conversation, it revealed so much. It was everything. I mean, because we quickly went to religion, and
we dabbed our toe in everything. Let me say it that way, because of course religious beliefs. Now I was a member of the Nation of Islam, so at the time my beliefs were clearly different than what they are now. So we were having a discussion. I'd say dab my toe, because it was like, okay, of course I expected her to think a certain kind of way. But then she said so much, again, just getting to understand who she was. It was so much other stuff, and it helped me to understand that the Church of Christ in particular is not your average, ordinary church. This is not what I traditionally believed church was. So it made me inquire more, which was good. But yeah, that was how we met. It was all about the books.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
We're gonna keep you on. We're gonna make sure we don't go over time. Go ahead. Next question.
Oh, this is so good. Y'all, the chat's blowing up. The chat is blowing up. Okay, so then guys, so it sounds like you dated for like what, 3 years? So tell us, how did you go from you're Muslim, your Church of Christ, what happened next?
When I tell you, and I'll say this, and then I'll let Kente take it over. So it was about 2.5, almost 3 years that we dated. There were so many times that in the conversation, and mind you, as time went on and I introduced him to Kimberly, because initially, well, there was a lot of things that were kind of taboo with our conversation. Like I knew that I was older. I didn't know how much older at first I was than Kente, and this always throws everybody off that I'm our age difference. But I knew that I was older, and where I was, even though, and I tell my daughters this, even though I was in the Church of Christ and I knew truth, I felt like Kente was more spiritual than I was. So those conversations, they were challenging, but I knew truth, but a lot of times knowledge and action don't always present itself in the manner that it should. I was not by any means being the person that I should have been when I met Kente. But again, growing up in the church, there was a lot of different situations that I dealt with growing up. Being a teenage mom or unwed mother in the church, it was just a lot of stuff. And by that time, ASAP was traveling all over we were all over the United States. You know, yeah, I think Kimberly probably, because everywhere I went, Kimberly had to go. So, you know, I think she probably visited half of the states in the United States before she was 3, you know, because of me. But so I just.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna back up to come forward. So we both work for the same company at different locations. So we had seen each other, but we didn't know who we were. So I say that because I've always believed that whoever God got for me, he's gonna have to, like, literally almost like, hey, Kente, that's the one kind of thing. And I saw her probably 2 or 3 times before she sat in my class. So it blew my mind that she was there. Of course, returning student, none of this made any sense for her to be here right now. I had even asked about her because I saw her, she worked at the bank, and I asked her about, you know, we had a mutual friend that worked, he worked with both of us. So I asked him, how old was she? He said, I don't know. He found out. And so, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I had done a little research, but I still didn't say anything to her because I'm waiting on God to say, hey, this is the one. I talked to her another time when I asked her a question because I found out how old she was. I said, well, you know, I know it's corny, but I said, you know, and I don't even know the song. I didn't really know the song, okay? The song was R. Kelly, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number.
Age ain't
Well, R. Kelly is the problem. R. Kelly is the problem. So I asked her, I said, what you think about that song, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number? And she said, well, her response was, okay, it was more, you know, thoughtful than I thought. You know, she said, well, I think it's true. It depends on the people, you know, where they are, kind of maturity-wise, etc. You know, I was like, okay, that means, fellas, I got a shot, you know. But I didn't take a shot. Again, I'm still waiting on God to put her there. And so then we showed up in class together. Then we showed up sitting at the table. Everybody else left. I mean, I can't ignore the signs. And I do believe that God does work through people. I did before understand what the Bible had to say, you know, understanding more of what the Bible had to say. It's not that I didn't know the Bible before, but now they're really bringing into an active knowledge. I'm watching it unfold in front of me for my life. You know, it was exciting, you know. So to come forward. Now, we argued all the 2.5 years about religion.
When I said, no, when we say argue, like, sis, I mean, brothers, if there's any brothers on here, I don't know. Let me tell y'all, we had, like, these some serious in-depth conversations. Like, oh my gosh, I was so mad sometimes that I would cry because I just was like, why can't he just see? You know, it was, it was intense.
It was like that.
They were intense, even to the standpoint, you know what, I can't do this no more.
Yeah, we tried that. I remember walking away, it was like a movie. You could have shot the movie of us walking down the street at Central, coming down the hill by the track, crying, you know, and I can't do it no more, you know. And they didn't last, I don't think, a day. I think later that night, maybe I called it back and we said, we're gonna figure it out, you know. So yeah, it was interesting. But again, I think listening and paying attention to the signs. Again, God, I know I'll say a little bit about religion for me, the way I look at it. You know, in the Nation of Islam, it's said that there is only one God, right? So it's only one God. It doesn't matter. I think Malcolm X said it really well. It's only one God. We all call him different names, but it's only one God. You know, so I don't have, you know, the rights to limit him to me. You know, and so she doesn't have the rights to limit God to her. You know, and that being said, I'm listening and paying attention to God because I don't know where the angels are and how I'm gonna move through life. I don't know what's next. But he put her here for me now, and that was the debate. Well, this religious thing is a problem. So what's that about? And she stayed strong throughout it all. She kept coming to service. She kept inviting me to different things, and I showed up at a few of them, you know. And at the time, you know, where I was in my religion, well, not my religion, but in my activity, my activity for the nation was different. It was waning. So the timing was interesting. There was a lot going on for me. But she kept staying strong, staying firm. Would come into events, invite me to different things. We would have our little arguments in between. I can still see her face when she's leaving. Yeah, I'm going to this. See you. You know, kind of thing. But that was good because it showed me her dedication and her commitment. And I'm looking for a woman who's dedicated and committed, you know, to something greater than I am. And so that worked. And we got married not being, you know, I didn't convert to, you know, I didn't get baptized. Let me clearly say that. I didn't get baptized until after we had already been married. Shoot.
Almost.
But yeah, because Kyrie was like 2 years. So right before Kyrie, our firstborn
firstborn together.
Son was born, I got baptized July 3rd. And we had Brother Roach. I know we're tearing all your questions up right now. I'm sorry. But Brother Roach was in town doing a lecture. And I feel like Brother Stevens called Brother Roach and said, I need you to come up here and get Kente converted for me. Get him baptized. Get him to the water.
No.
I know they had conversations about it. But anyway, I was sitting like on the first, second row, and he was preaching to me. Ain't no question he was preaching to me, you know? It was no question.
He didn't even know who Kente was. He did.
She didn't know.
No. Okay. So anyway, you talking.
So anyway, the baptism was very spiritual, very, you know, transforming for me. But in doing so, it was not that I didn't understand. I had a concept with her. She said, I was very spiritual. I believed in God. I believe that, you know, I'm following wherever he leads. And this appeared to be the path. The Church of Christ appeared to be in search of the truth, no matter where it comes from, no matter how it looks. You know, they take the Bible, or we take the Bible, we look at the Bible very introspectively. And we have all these different pieces to say that you have to qualify, you know, your research. So all of that made sense. None of that is what I got from any of the other, you know, understandings of churches. So that was me. That was my conversion. That was how Kenitra stayed strong. She kept it. It all worked for me to see that this was where I'm supposed to be. And it's very important for me also to raise my sons, and that was part of what Roach was preaching on. What you gonna do on Sunday morning? And you know, my love for my sons is ridiculous, whether they see it like I see it or not. But you know, that's a lot. That's, you know, and my daughters now, but
yeah,
my daughters come from her. So you know, now I'm raising these. You know, where are they gonna see me? Where's Kyrie gonna see me on Sunday? I'm gonna be where I'm gonna be. I'm at the house. You know, I'm a man. I can't be at the house. I'm divine. I have to be engaged in that word and that understanding. And so all of that, you know, and I'm young. So what was I? How old was I? 20?
At that time,
22? 25?
Well, because when Kyrie was born.
23.
23,
we got married, right? So 25.
Because you had just turned 24 after we got married.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm still young, you know, I'm still like trying to get it together, figure it out. And so again, it made sense. And here we are.
Here we are.
You know.
Here we are.
Oh, wow. Okay, Kenitra, we're going to stop right here. We're going to take a break from my questions. I got to ask this question.
Yes.
How do you all, if people are dating someone outside of the Church of Christ, give us some tips for how to walk the walk, and still be in romantic relationship with someone who is not a member of the body. How do you do that?
Okay, so let me first say this. As I mentioned before, where I was in my life at that time, it was not the best place for me to be in, but it was where I needed to be, especially for meeting Kente. So I had gone through, what took me back to school was a breakup. So Kim broke up with Kim's dad and her, biological father, because you can't tell this one or her that this ain't her dad. You know what I'm saying? That type of, and that all of that came from some of those discussions in the house together. But at any rate, where I wasn't living very Christian, although I had all of the knowledge. Like he said, I stayed strong to what I knew, and that kind of brought me over the negative part, or the negative space that I was in. Okay, so on the negative side, and this is just me being very as transparent I can right here, from some of the earlier conversations with Kente, I was already beginning to think and feel like, oh my God, this man is the truth. And I even remember saying to my mom, oh my gosh, Mom, he is so young. She said, is the age a problem for you, or is the age a problem for him? And then if it's a problem for you, why is it, if he's such a good person? And so I think in my mind, because I didn't really care at the time that he was not a member of the church, but he was more spiritual than I was, there was absolutely something that I could get from him or gain from him, still holding true to my understanding and knowledge of the Church of Christ. So as long as I didn't lose that, I felt like, and those would be my tips to anybody who is dating outside of the church. Don't compromise truth and knowledge for the relationship. Whether I was walking in the truth or not, I couldn't negate what it was. Okay. And you can't, I couldn't expect him to treat me like I think God expects us to be treated, because I wasn't doing it myself. I literally, I'm gonna share this, because this gonna tell y'all a little bit about who I was at that time in my life. I told him, because I was like, yo, I don't need you playing with my feelings, because I was feeling him. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, because the conversation was so, it dealt differently with me than anybody I had dated. Okay, because he questioned me on some stuff. He made me look at things differently. And so I was just like, yo, don't play with my feelings. I can't take that. I mean, if you doing all this just to get draws, just say that, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, sis, I don't know who you think I am, but that is not what I'm about, And so I was like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting him to say it that way, but I was in that space. Like, I was broken. And so I was just expecting nobody to really appreciate me for who I really was. And I didn't even know who I was myself. So even though, like we talked about this before, even though I'm older than Kente helped me find who I was. And so that's why a lot of times people get confused about the age difference. We are 6.5 years.
Thanks, Kim.
Exactly. He's the old man. Okay. We're 6.5 years. I'm 6.5 years older than Kente. But most people would never know that, because we balance each other out, so to speak, where I may have had different experiences that he might not have, I may not have experienced them the way I needed to. So the balancing and the leveling that came in our relationship, sisters, if you're dating outside, I definitely wouldn't say don't, because like he said, we got married and he wasn't a member. And we went and sat down and talked to my dad, because I was just like, I had gotten to that point where I was like, I don't see myself being with anybody else. this is who I want to be with. And so, you know, my dad had to talk to me individually. He talked to both of us, of course, marriage stuff, but individually he had to talk to me, and he had to help me understand, you know, just because you are not members, just because he's not a member, you're still, that's your husband. You will submit to that man. And he, you know, and I didn't have a problem because, again, very spiritual, did not, in my opinion, he did not get in the way of, because at that point I was becoming a stronger Christian, because I was definitely
trying to show off, man.
I was definitely studying more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, listen, I wanted to show him that this is what this is a real Christian walk. You know, I wanted him to walk that walk with me. You know, even after we married and he wasn't a member, every Sunday morning, Kimberly and I, you know, are you going with us today? No. Okay. But it didn't keep us from asking him if he wanted to go. Well, we got a singing, we got a song thing, or, you know, whatever. And so, but back to what not to do or what to do. First of all, love yourself enough to know that whoever you ought to be able to be who you are, and that your mate or whoever he is, if you have to change any part of who you truly are, it's not worth your time. You know, it's just not. And if you find that you can be who you truly are without compromising your Christianity, your knowledge, your belief, then, as Kente would say, if what God has for you is for you. You know, I definitely can't tell you that it's going to be, you're going to find your spouse in the church, in the Church of Christ. I didn't. And that's not to say that I didn't try, because I thought that's what I had to do, you know? So that, I think that's my, I'm going to say that. That's it. I hope that's enough.
Okay, Kente, so we want to hear from you. You're dating someone who was in the Church of Christ and you were not in the Church of Christ. What was the experience like, and what really was the theme? What did she do that sort of helped you decide to become a member of the body? Anything that I know Brother Tony Roach tore it down, but tell us, what was that like?
So dating. So I guess, again, initially when we met, those first conversations, they actually kind of like set everything for us. The rest of our life was just confirmation. You know, every mark was hit. You know, it still works. So things like personally, like the way I think about things, you know, I did know early on that I could tell she had some baggage, you know. And me, I know I was young, but I've been taught a good deal before I met her about how to think about things. I don't know how to say that, but so when seeing her and understanding, I could tell there was something else there. We talked about that. You know, I would kind of talk her through things, and I wasn't trying to change her. I wanted her to find her, because I wanted to know if that's the person I wanted to be with. Let me let you find yourself first, and then let me see if that's the person I want to be with. It sounds good, but let me see. And I started to see her changing, and yeah, we would fight a lot about religion, and that would get to reveal who she was. Okay, she knows some stuff. You know, it wasn't I was looking like I'm grading her because I'm mad for real, but dang, I can't win this fight. You know? So that was dating. I mean, we were in school, so we were studying, and when they had study groups, I'd be hanging out with their study group. By this time now, all of our dates were study groups. They were always eating in the study group, you know. I didn't have a study group of my own. I'm hanging out with finance majors. So we have friends and relationships alike because of that. I'm also an alpha, obviously. So, you know, she would get to meet my boys, you know, that kind of thing. So dating was campus life, it was college life.
Not so much for me though, because
Right.
I literally was in school and working 2 jobs.
That's right.
So but I mean, like again, I was non-traditional, so it was a lot of stuff that I had.
Let me tell you, dating was home team math. Home team math is us sitting down with Kimberly, helping her do her project. That was date night. Okay. And I always tell people, some other brothers that were, they aren't married yet, I say, I found out so much more from projects. It helped me to really understand how she processed thoughts, how she thought about things. I'm sorry. And that was more important for me to understand how she thinks, to see if we could really melt together. Can we work together? Will we match, And so those projects, Kimberly always got A's as far as I know. If she didn't, I was mad, but that was it. We did a lot of, I didn't have, so I back up. I never had these, I want to take you out and, I got this 90-day thing or this 6-week thing or this second night thing. I think the first time we kissed was, I asked her, I said, so you gonna kiss me or not? We had been dating for 2 months or so. We had been together for 2 months or so. And I said, are you gonna kiss me or what? And she was like, I didn't know if I could, So it was cute the whole way. It's been like that. It was not, we going out tonight. Where we going? We're going to Route 2s. I'm blowing my check on this. It was none of that. It was work, school, and family. That was dates. So.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about this, but dating when you are already a parent and you're dating. Give us some help with that.
Yeah.
So I felt like I needed to be very careful with who I would invite or who I would introduce Kimberly to. But Kente was just cool, and then it didn't help. Now I'm a teenage mom. So I had Kimberly like the month before I turned 18. So I'm only 18 years older than Kimberly per se, but then Kente's only 12 years older than Kimberly. Even though, and I don't know, she'll probably, if she had a chance to say it, she'd say he's like an old man. Like she's like, he might be only 12 years old. And they have jokes and stuff about it. But at any rate, once I did do the introduction of Kimberly meeting Kente, I kind of, watching for certain behaviors, just because I needed to make sure that this would be a cool situation. And I knew her dad, he gave me like the hardest, Kimberly's dad, biological dad, gave me the hardest time because I was dating Kente and everybody, it was known that Kente was in the nation, pretty soon I'm gonna be calling you Sister Khadijah, right? And, just little things. And after so many years of him being in my ear and in my spirit, a lot of that stuff would bother me. And so I try not to really push a whole lot of time together with Kimberly and Kente solo, because I didn't want to make it seem like I'm really forcing this relationship on him, a relationship with my daughter. But it helped me to see that he was comfortable around her. Now we had some conversations, Kimberly could attest to this, about how I was raising her, because I was kind of lenient, and it was Kimberly and I for a long time. And he started doing this structure thing. But yes, Kim. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we won't go there. We don't have enough time to go through all that. But yeah, clothing was definitely an issue.
That's a blended family conversation.
Okay, you're right. But because that didn't come in until that didn't come in while we were dating. You're right. Okay. So I just monitored the type of interactions, because I didn't want Kimberly to get attached as I was, because I'd rather it just be me hurt than for her to have to deal with a certain hurt as well at such a young age, because I know the effects of hurt early on. And as a young lady, I didn't want her to experience that.
Yeah, so she used her mom and her family unit to really help with Kimberly. I mean,
Right.
she was already working 2 jobs, so working 2 jobs, she already needed that compensating control with the family to help out. So, you know, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of family interaction with you know.
Yeah, like my mom. I think that's probably why Kimberly acts so much like my mom. She spent a lot of time with her. I'm not, even to this day, I was never really a big disciplinarian. So my mom would do more of that with Kimberly for me. So yeah, that closeness. It's just like he said, I used my village. It was a small village because I was very protective, very protective of.
We had the twins too.
Yeah, Tiffany and Renee. Oh my gosh, I used to call them my little sisters, but they were like Kim's little mamas, especially Renee. So yeah.
So just to clarify, Tiffany and Renee is church family.
Yes, yes.
I will say too that I did go on the trips with ASAP.
Oh yeah, he went on. Yeah.
So I did travel with ASAP to some with the events I could make. So that was dating too. So now I'm dating everybody. I'm meeting everybody. All the family meeting me. I'm meeting everybody at the same time. And getting to know them. They getting to know me. I'm staying in the room with the guys, so they talking to me. It was good. It was good.
Look, I was trying to any angle I could, to just get them feeling comfortable around them. And he loved the music, so that whole singing thing, like he didn't have any fear of who I was. But there's some people like in the church. You hear people say after the fact, like Kente.
I didn't know she could sing. Right. She said she sang. I was like, oh, you sing. And then I started to see, oh, you sing. Like this is Kim. Okay, all right. Everybody, and then of course all the guys tell me, yeah, that's Stevens, right? Kim Stevens. Okay. We weren't married yet, so we're fine, And then once we got married, no, she's Dixon now. She's Dixon, You gotta let them know,
Whatever. Anyway, it was good. It was good to have him around and meeting and spend, like he said, spending time with the people who I called family. Yeah, we spent so much time on the road that they saw me. They knew who I was. Mm-hmm.
So I would say dating was really she involving me in her life, and her life was church business. So if I was going to get to be able to hang out with her, it's either in school or it's church business, and so that kept her staying focused there, allowed for me to, let me see this how it works. And so that was a great transition for me. Now I am involved in church business, on whatever different level. I wear many hats, as they say. So
yes.
Wow. Okay, so then tell us, how did you know that your spouse was the one? You kind of talked about it a little bit, but was there a specific moment? Was there something that was like, ding, this is the one?
Is there a moment, babe?
For me, I always kind of go back to that moment that I shared when I said, what I asked him, he's like, I don't know who you think I am. That's not what I'm about. And even though that was so early on, I think every conversation, every interaction, just everything between us, it always took me back to that conversation because I was so broken, and his response was to me the first piece to healing. Because just because that's how you've been dealt with in the past does not mean how you have to be dealt with in the future.
That's right.
And I couldn't change stuff before Kente. But that statement, it just made me feel like I had hope. There was hope for me. It all was not lost because of my mistakes in the past. And so and then that's probably the biggest moment. And then the second moment would have been when we were just shy of getting married, and my dad said to me in a conversation with just he and I, he said, if you would ask me if I thought that there would be anybody who would take care of you and Kimberly better than me, I would tell you it would be him.
Oh, wow.
So my dad and the relationship that he and I have, him saying that, it was just confirmation. And for my dad to say that, knowing that Kente wasn't a member of the church, it meant a whole lot. That was just, like I said, that was just confirmation on top of confirmation. So,
yeah,
that was me.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I had built up, my brother, my mentor asked me, mentor is easy to understand, but he's my brother, asked me, what you need a wife for? What's your purpose for a wife? And he asked me that, and I was 15. And I've been in the search to understand what a wife was since 15. I'm not, does not be confused, not the Melvin from Cosby Show, wife, cook, clean, be quiet. That wasn't it, clearly, But what was she going to be for me? Like, what did I need? So I had to develop myself from 15 to 20 something. And I didn't know if I was still where I was supposed to be to have a wife, to be worthy of a wife, But I've been developing the thought of what that was for such a long time that when I found it, it revealed itself. It answered all my questions, And I was like, wow, yes, she clean. She couldn't cook, but because I did all the cooking at first.
Struggled.
Yeah.
But I could do some stuff now. Come on.
I don't recall not one meal she ever made. But she learned all of that, and it wasn't because of I need her to fit in a role. It was she wanted to. And so everything was like that. Her relationship with me was, I want to be more. And so it made it, I'm 23, getting married, but for me, it was to be able to see that before it happened. I'm seeing her, just open up from the time I met her to now, 23. I'm like, wow, this relationship has been nothing but great. So again, confirmation was everything after the first night, the 6 hours, the study all night. We studied, y'all, but we were asking a lot of other questions about a lot of other stuff to get to know each other that same night. And we weren't trying to be boyfriend and girlfriend. We were trying to be friends. And all of that first time frame was just friendship. And it really went well. It was beautiful. It was great, so amongst all the arguments.
They were necessary, though. The arguments were necessary.
Yeah.
Even the ones we have now.
Oh, boy. They're
necessary.
Y'all, y'all are the bomb. You are amazing. Thank you so much for being so honest and transparent with us about this process. Okay, so y'all, I need y'all to go off right here.
Uh-oh.
How was Kingdom a blessing to your marriage? So how did the church come around you two during that dating phase, and then also early marriage and into your marriage?
Mm-hmm. I'll start by saying, even though, again, Kente wasn't a member, everybody who I'll say we were around, they did not treat him, they treated him as if he was family. They were welcoming, they were they were encouraging. I don't know, and he didn't tell me, did anybody pull you to the side and say anything? Okay, so yeah, I just felt like the church and Southside has a way, or has always had a way of just being very welcoming. You come, I think when you come to Southside, we don't want you to leave. If you can't, if you gotta go, let you know you always can come back, right, Kim? You can always come back. so it's just that family connected, and like he said, when we went on trips, he was included. I think all of that, the kingdom business, doing all of those things that I was doing for the kingdom, and him coming along or being a part of that, and everybody welcoming him, I think that helped.
Yep.
Helped him to see, yes, kingdom business, but we good people.
I agree. That was very important. In addition to that, I studied with Sheldon Hardison once and Chris Turner. Chris had a little background understanding of where I was. So having conversations with him was pretty good, to get a better baseline without talking to the father. If I had to sit down with Brother Stevens, it would be different conversation, but he didn't have to. So the kingdom stepped in. I was able to talk with other qualified men that we could just talk, and they weren't afraid to go wherever we were going in the conversation. The other parts of it is, like you said, the trips were great.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Mayfield, Chester Mayfield, Natalie Owens. These will forever be open people that, they just being themselves. This is what it is. This is what we do. And they just, that present, for me. And then I think what was best is that Southside has always been on the move. If it's a dead church, we probably wouldn't be here, but it was always on the move. And, so because of that, I was able to see them acting out their love for Christ, their Christianity, their, religious beliefs. You're acting it out. You're not just book, chapter, verse Christian. You're book, chapter, verse. Okay, that's cool. Now let's translate that into the physical existence. I need to see that. Where I come from, I'm on the corner. I'm dealing with people directly. I'm in the neighborhoods. I'm dealing with people directly. And so that, if you're not doing anything that's, that face to face, it's a turnoff. It was for me. So it was able to allow me to see, what was going on. And yeah, that was it.
Amen. Amen. So what I hear is that sometimes you've got to be careful what kind of congregation you're at. If they're not being the church and living the church, it's going to be hard for the people that you're trying to win to see Christ. Right. So I hear that. And Southside, y'all, if you can find a job in the RTP,
Come on.
It is literally worth you changing your whole life to be able to worship with the Southside. I'm serious. Pray for me, I'm working on it. So now tell us, how has your marriage blessed the kingdom? Talk about some of the things that you all are doing together in the kingdom, at Southside, in the community, to bring people in. Just share with us.
Okay. Well, Kenitra hasn't changed. Let's be clear. She's still singing, and and we also work with youth. So so now, of course, my position is liaison. That's always in flux. They just gave me a name. I told them, don't call me nothing else but special ops, right? So anyway, so as far as what we're doing in our marriage for the kingdom, we do work together with the youth department, which is called Peace. The youth council is called Peace. And we plan our events for, for the youth annually, quarterly, annually, monthly, depending on what it is. During COVID, for example, we pulled Peace together.
It's real.
Okay. Yes, it is. But during COVID, Peace would meet with the young people on Sundays. That's how we kind of started back at getting the children back on involved. We know that they were having struggles with Zoom in school, so now we're able to pull them in on do just a little check-in on Sundays after service and everything else. And we found that it was really beautiful to have them there. You know, we had a lot of fun with doing that. And of course, that was just the beginning. Then we branched that back off into our, you know, youth groups. The boys and men group was out for our boys. And then the girls groups, it's 3 different girls groups: Young Girls, Grace, and Style and Grace. And they would meet on Sundays. So Sundays, second and fourth Sundays, boys and men, pretty much every Saturday. So we just, you know, just our job was just to get it started. We kicked it back off, and we were just making sure everything is running smoothly with our youth. Beyond that,
and he really is. When he says he has his hands in everything, it could very well be an understatement. And I always have to remind him, I saw my dad give every ounce of his being to the church for so many years. It's cute that people say you try to marry your dad. Okay, I don't want to marry my dad. I need him to know when to tell Pastor Thomas or anybody else at Southside, I gotta go. I got something I gotta do. You know, just, of course, again, just making sure that I'm not trying to keep him from what he wants to do for the kingdom, but I also saw some of the ills with, you know, giving and devoting all of your time to the kingdom, you know, what that did to the family. So,
and I appreciate that, because I want her to temper me. I could get totally involved, and anybody could. You can get totally involved in your skill set, your job, whatever it is. But that's the compensating, the control. I say that, my mirror, to tell me, hey, that's enough. I'm not gonna get it all done in my time, and I'm cool with that. I'm gonna get what I can get done in my time, and she helps me say, okay, that's enough of that. Mm-hmm. So it's cool. Yeah, I do. I help with pretty much anything. I am on a part of the leadership team, so I do help with many other in many other aspects, and I'm grateful. I'm thankful to be a part of that, those decisions. But yeah, so that's how we are very active.
Very.
And I didn't start off that way. I guess I got a second. I started off with the youth council, but I pitched an idea to the current youth council then, you know, and it was funny. I pitched it before. I don't know if I was I a member?
You were.
I was a member then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So I was a babe, real babe. You know, I pitched the idea. I sat down and thought about it. And then years later, like 3 or 4 years ago, all that came to pass. You know, it wasn't time then, you know, but it all came to pass. So, yeah, we've been busy. This is what we do.
That's what we do.
Amen. I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you, hopefully everyone knows, but if you do not know, Sister Kenitra and Brother Kente are what you would call Church of Christ celebrities. And I know that sounds like ridiculous, but it's real. It's true. It's true. So so put some songs in the chat, y'all. Oh. Some songs Kenitra sings. Put them in the chat, y'all.
This is before Kenitra sings.
Right, because she ain't say Kenitra. It's a lot of chat going on.
But seriously, you all, I want to say that I talk about my story of dealing with mental illness, and I was at Southside at that time, and I believe that God put me at this congregation because he knew if I was somewhere else, my life might not have been saved. Mm-hmm. I tell you, I've watched Kente and Kenitra truly love people. It's real. It's real. So yeah, there's the singing and the sort of the you know, being out there, you know, and singing and working in ministry, but the love that they have for people is just it is such a beautiful testimony to, you know, God's real love. It just really is. Okay. So last question. Help us out, y'all. Help us. So Brother Kente, you said when you were 15, one of your mentors told you to really think about what it means to be a wife, right? I mean, not to be a wife, but what a wife is in a man's life. And I've heard so many of my single sisters say that there are no men in the church, and things like they teach the girls how to be wise and to want to desire to be wise, but they're not doing the same thing for men, all that kind of stuff. So please What advice do you have for single Christians that desire to be married?
Wow. I don't know how qualified I am really, but I mean, I get where you're going. Oh my gosh. I guess no. So I'm gonna just use me. I got to. I don't know another way to do it. Being true to, first of all, a real relationship. I mean, no offense, I hope I'm not stepping on their toes, but a real relationship with God, an active relationship. That's all I think you really need. Active, like, you know, I studied the word, I put it to work. Let me see what this actually does. I want something. Well, God, you know the time on that. I've already prayed for it, and everybody say we leave it on the altar, but then I see people up there stealing all the time. They going back up there getting it all the time. You got to leave it up there and go do what you're supposed to do when the time is right. When you are sometimes, and I tell Kenitra this, we mature at different rates, separately and together.
Mm-hmm.
So in our marriage, we're maturing right now at different rates. I'm not saying I'm older or she is older, but it just depends on what we're going through. But that maturity is driven by our desire to reach God. There's an inclination that has to happen where we incline our thinking, our mind towards God. Nothing else really matters. I might want to mate, but God only knows what I'm supposed to be doing. From 15 until I met her, I went on maybe one other date. I remember taking this girl to this young woman to the botanical gardens. I'm a different guy. I didn't go to the movies. We didn't go out to eat. We went to the botanical gardens at UNC and walked around looking at this ugly flowers and stuff. The date was cool. I could not tell you her name. I really hate that. She was a nice girl. I just can't remember her name. And that was me attempting to go find it. I'm going to find this. But when I said, and I made it clear, when God, you're going to have to show me who it is, I meant it. I left it alone. When I did see her, like I said before, I asked about her, but maybe I was too scared. If I'm that scared, sometimes you fear loss. Am I going to lose her? If it's for you, it's for you. You can't lose what's yours. The only thing you can do is say when you see all the signs, like the guy sitting on the top of his roof when the water was climbing and the 3 boats came by, and you didn't get in the boat, that was on you. So I suggest my thinking, the way I think is, you said what it's supposed to be. You've lined out your qualifications, so to speak, but God went back through and said, yep, nope. And that's what this is. God was like,
Yes.
I'm waiting. I don't know what she was doing, but I'm looking for her, and we weren't looking for each other.
Right.
And, we found friendship that we could build a family on. Of course, I love her. She's my mate and all of that. But I think that my focus was always, God, what do you want for me? Even then, at 15, I'm trying to figure that out. So I think that's it. If I'm going to give some advice, God, what do you have for me? I want this, but you know what it is. I'm going to stay the course and, yeah, see what happens.
Okay, Kenitra, your turn.
I was gonna kind of piggyback off of something that he said, this list of what we think we want, and how to just let God give us who we need. I mean, literally, and this is no secret to Kente. I had a whole bunch of what I wasn't gonna do, or what wasn't gonna happen, who I wasn't gonna be with, all of these different things, these characteristics that, I would have absolutely, and I told him where I was, I almost shut him out because I was dwelling so much on what I was on my list, not what God had for me, and again, like I said, I had to not allow my history to become my future, because it's hard sometimes shaking that stuff that's in that we build into our beings of what we deserve, who we deserve, and anything like that. And those start creating and shaping who we're looking for or who we're with. But I couldn't, I had to get that out of my space and allow God to open my eyes, so to speak, to who I needed. So I guess that's how it.
Ooh, this is so good, y'all. Oh my God. Ooh, this is so good. Okay.
Everybody.
So any other parting words for us?
I will say thank you. Really appreciate you having us here. You know, of course, as we approach this day, it was always, and I'm sure everybody's like, you know, but for me, I don't like to really talk about it. I'm a one-on-one kind of guy, maybe a group setting. And I know that's what this is, but, you know, it's a little different, you know, but thank you for having us here. I do thank God for our story. I really do. I mean, it's like a love story to hear the beginning. And, you know, I'm thankful. Everything ain't been up. We didn't talk about everything ain't been great. You know, we made mistakes. Again, I alluded to it. We mature at different levels at different times. And it's not all about our ages. So that's going to happen. But understanding that gives you peace, gives me peace. You know, I know that she's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress, but we're at least working towards the same goal. And that's all I need. So I allow for her mistakes and my mistakes and vice versa, you know. So, yeah, again, thank you. Appreciate it. And pray that we were helpful.
Yeah.
You want to say something?
Just, I guess, I don't know. I'm thankful because like I said, all of the stuff that I had and I saw where I could have lost this. That's scary sometimes for me because I put up every wall possible. I even told Kente, I don't know that I truly, fully loved him the way he deserved to be loved until after we were married because of those blocks and things like that. And I'm just so thankful that he was patient enough to allow and to let God guide him. And that's what I would say to especially a sister who may not have done it all right. You know, I was single mom, not living like I needed to be living, but giving myself that break to say, yeah, you still deserve what God has for you. You know, don't settle. Don't settle just because you've done this or that. Don't settle.
I would say just one more thing. That peace, you know, understanding. I mean, peace for me is like COVID is going on in the world. Everybody's crazy. You know, guys just died yesterday, kind of stuff. But God's in control. You know, so that peace in this relationship is the same where I knew she was going through things. I have to give her enough space. I'm not going anywhere. And me telling her that, that's peace for her. Stop worrying about that. Focus on what you need to focus on. So I guess my suggestion also to fellas, to ladies out here, whoever has baggage, the other person that doesn't, maybe not. You know, give the other person space. We're not perfect in our own sense, but give that other. You know, you're not perfect. Give the other person a chance. Now, of course, you got to qualify that. You know, there's certain things. There are certain areas, certain things you can't allow people to go beyond. Of course, you know, but let them figure their way up. not trying, that's one thing. But if they're trying, give them a break, give them some peace, give them some space, allow them to grow. Maybe you need to let them grow apart from you. Again, I was looking for a friend, and that was more important to me than trying to find my wife at the time. Looking for the wife, but the wife was the friend. So I think sometimes we do the traditional date. Want to go date? I want to meet. Then we got X amount. I'm on the clock now. Okay, so it's 6 weeks. We're gonna do this. 3 months. We're gonna do this. The date is not even starting until you understand them as a person, as a friend. Who are they? If they're fronting for you the whole 6 weeks, well, I gotta go meet such and such tonight. So you put on all this makeup, clothes, and all this they make all this stuff up to go be with somebody, then you're not gonna get to know the person anyway. So you gotta give them space to be who they really are, and then you can decide, is this what?
And when they show you who they are, believe them.
That's right. That's right. Don't try to make them something they're not.
There you go.
So again, I wanted to see if she was gonna turn out to be what she appeared to be, but it was, again, we met as friends. We discussed everything, lots of things, and of course, she didn't know that night that I was interested like that, so she had asked about me before, but again, it's the same thing. It was months apart, and we're getting to know each other, that's the real work, to get to know the real person. Whatever you got to do to do that, maybe that's the key, whatever you got to do to take away the fake. And I'm not saying just put your hairnet on, walk around in flip-flops. I'm not saying that, fellas, y'all can be bummy too, tank tops and stuff. But, just be real. Because if it's for you, it's for you. There's no need to front for this. This is the rest of your life. And as long as you ain't just trying to GTD, then I'm sorry if y'all watch Martin. You know what GTD is. But if you're not just trying to take them to bed, then, take time to get to know them. That's the most important thing that you're going to have. You're going to build families on getting to know that person. You're going to raise children off of your like-mindedness or your differences. But if you don't know them, you're going to raise children in chaos. And all of the rest of it doesn't matter. I just want to be married so bad. It won't matter. I want to be married so bad. And then you're married. Oh my gosh. So, no rush. Let's be friends.